Okay, hi, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook and Instagram to Mystic Fitness Yoga Studio. We are live streaming every morning at 9 a.m. My name is Melissa. Thank you so much for joining. So happy to have you here. So happy to have a student in the studio with me. Please come and watch our live stream and come into the studio. We are taking all the safety precautions very seriously, and it's so warm and beautiful in here. Great way to start your week, so definitely reach out and come see us. If you're joining from home, hello. Feel free to grab a block, a blanket, water, anything else you might need, your mat. And whenever you're ready, we're just going to start in a laying down position on our backs. Take your time getting there. And just, you might even let your eyes close and just let yourself feel a sense of grounding. You can begin to place the attention on the weight of the body, the sense of gravity. And just scanning down with your attention from the top of the head, slowly making your way down to the toes. Not getting stuck in any one area, just noticing if there's a general mood or feeling in the body today. And if you haven't already, begin to notice your breath. Just generally where you feel it. Maybe it's in the tip of your nose or the back of your throat. Maybe it's the rise and fall of your belly. But just using this connection between breath and body right here. This could be the base of your entire yoga practice. And when you notice your mind wandering to what you're doing later today or where you were yesterday, just bring yourself back to the rise and fall of your breath. Let this productive presence be all that you need to do for your yoga practice. If you end up adding on postures, that's beautiful, but stay with your breath. That's all yoga really asks of you. Take a big inhale, fill up your lungs, and let it go. One more time, big in-breath, and let it go. You are more than welcome to stay right here, present with your breath, in this environment that just allows you to just relax and take some time for yourself. But if the body is asking for it, maybe on the next inhale you reach overhead and just take a full body stretch. You might grab your right wrist with your left hand and drag it over to the left side of the room. Maybe crossing the right ankle over the left, making a little banana shape here on the ground, just getting into the right side body a little bit. Take a big breath and let it go. Slowly return towards the center, stretch everything out long. Inhale. And on the exhale, drag your left wrist over to the right, maybe crossing your left ankle over your right. Same thing, little side bend over to the right, now stretching out the left side body here. Big breath. and let it go. You can return to the center, let everything go out long, maybe point the toes, and exhale, curl your knees, bring your knees into your chest, give them a little squeeze, maybe some rocking side to side. Whatever feels good here, just listening to your body. And then when you're ready, keep your right knee bent, let your left leg go long to the mat, pulling your right knee into your chest on the inhale. And on the exhale, press the right heel towards the ceiling, toes pointed towards shin. You can interlace hands behind your right thigh. And then on the inhale, bend your right knee, pull it into your chest, give it a squeeze. And on the exhale, press the heel away one more time up towards the ceiling. Doing this a couple more times. Inhale, pulling the knee into the chest, and exhale, pressing the heel towards the ceiling. Just getting into the hamstring here. Moving with your breath, trying to match your movements with your breath. The next exhale, when your right heel is up in the sky, take a moment here and just do some ankle circles, letting your right ankle take some circles, letting your toes just draw big wide O's in the sky. Maybe 5 times in one direction and 5 in the other. Just luxuriating in the snap, crackle, pop, all of it, that goodness. If you're here in the yoga studio, it's nice and warm too, bright. And then releasing your right leg long. Just let it even out. Just take a moment, let that fresh blood rejuvenate your leg. And now taking it to the other side, pulling your left knee into your chest on an inhale. And on the exhale, interlacing your left hands behind your left thigh and pressing your left heel up towards the sky, toes pointing towards shin. And then moving with your breath. Inhale, pulling your knee into your chest, and exhale, pressing your heel away. You can go as slow or fast as feels right for you. Just try to establish that breath-body connection, just letting your breath determine your motions. And on the next exhale, when that left heel is up in the sky, take a moment here and just circle out the ankle 5 times in one direction and 5 in the next. Might feel a little different on this side, just exploring. And then when you're ready, releasing that left leg down, pull both knees into your chest now, give them a little squeeze. And holding your knees for support, you might begin to take some circles with your knees. So maybe dropping the knees out a little bit to the sides, pulling them in front of you and then back into your chest. Maybe down a little bit and then out. Just making some circles here with your knees. Maybe using your hands on your knees as support as they move around. Just beginning to kind of see how your hips feel. You might take this into some rocking side to side. You might even fall over on one side into a little fetal position. Should feel really good on your low back, just massaging out. And just notice how your hips feel opening up. Let this just be an organic, fluid movement, whatever it looks like for you. Just getting into the hips a little bit, see what feels good and allow that. And when you feel like you've gotten some nice hip openers, maybe rocking the knees side to side, massaging out the low back. Your arms might go long to the side as you twist side to side. A couple more breaths here. And again, not forcing anything, just noticing. If you find a place that feels really good and you want to just stay here, go for it. Absolutely. That's the whole point of the practice. All these other layers that I'm saying are just optional add-ons. If you're here, you're present, and you're with your breath, you are doing yoga. If you feel ready, you'd like to explore some different postures. Maybe you, keeping your knees bent, place the soles of the feet down on the mat, right by your butt, and then let your arms go alongside your body. And driving into the heels, pick the hips up off the ground by a couple inches, knees stacked over ankles, finding a little bit of a little glute bridge here, and then slowly lowering one vertebrae down at a time, the hips down to the mat. And we'll do this about 10 more times. So just moving with your breath, your body, some intention. Just beginning to activate the glutes, really drive through the heels and feel the glutes fire up as you lift your hips up and then lowering slowly back down, being very gentle on the low back. And this is also an opportunity to connect a little bit with your pelvic floor and your low spine, and just see what it feels like to kind of incorporate some arching and curling a little bit of the spine as you move through these motions. Just noticing your pelvic bones tip up as you push through the heels, and then maybe when you lower down and you're at the mat, you kind of curl your spine a little bit. And do 3 more wherever you are at whatever pace you're working with. Just a really good opportunity here to warm up the glutes. Awesome. And then when you feel ready, you can make your way into a fetal position on your side. Just take a moment here to take your time, and when you're ready, come up to a seated position facing the front of your mat, or the front of the studio if you're here with me. And you might let your eyes close here, and you could put your hands on your heart, maybe one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Just take a big breath in, let it go. Just giving yourself a moment here. Congratulate yourself for tuning in this morning, tapping in, for supporting a small business, for supporting yourself during these times. We're all really happy you're here. I'm happy to be here. And just carrying this sense of gratitude through your practice, you might flutter your eyes open, and maybe on the inhale, just reach up towards the sky. Inhale. And exhale, hands to heart center. Next inhale, you can reach up. And on the exhale, your hands can come to your shoulders. Allow your elbows to make some circles here, coming to the front of the studio and then rolling to the back. Your range of motion might look a little different than mine. That's absolutely fine. We're all at different points of our practice. And maybe taking the circles to the opposite direction now. Again, that snap, crackle, pop is just so nice. First thing in the morning. And you can just shake out the wrists a little bit. It might feel good to kind of vigorously shake, or maybe just those slow, really present sensations through the wrists. Just tapping into what your body needs. And then when you're ready, slowly transitioning to a tabletop position, stacking shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. And from here, let yourself drop your belly on an inhale, look up for cat, And then on the exhale, press the floor away from you, round your spine, curl, look towards your belly for an exhale. Moving back and forth between cat and cow now. Inhale, looking up, and exhale, pressing the floor away, rounding your spine. One more time. Inhale, look up towards the sky, and exhale, press the floor away from you. Begin to move with your breath. Inhale and exhale, moving you through the cat and cow positions, and allow this movement to become more fluid. So maybe allowing the hips to get into it, maybe taking some circles with the hips as if you were drawing the mat with your belly button, just drawing some big circles on the mat, allowing your hips to press back, maybe even over the heels. Just seeing what feels good here, whatever it looks like for you. Might feel good to just stay in the cat-cow position. Maybe the hip circles feel really nice. I love the hip circles. And pressing kind of back and over the heels. And when you feel ready, when you feel like you've given yourself enough time here, whenever that is, you can find your way to child's pose simply by letting your hips rest over your heels and letting your forehead come down to the mat, maybe a block or a blanket at home if that's more comfortable. Can also feel really good to put a block underneath your seat or a blanket for a little extra support if it doesn't feel very good on your hips. But allowing yourself to just ground down here. Maybe tent the fingers so the palms are kind of floating. Let your shoulders open up a little bit. Maybe it's more about the hips today and you kind of just let your arms chill and just really feel this effect in your hips. Feeling your breath, the belly pressing into the thighs as the breath moves in and out. Awesome. And then take a big in-breath, stretch your arms forward, and on the exhale, walk your hands over to the left, maybe even off your mat, as you press your hips back and to the right. This is child's pose with a little bit of a side stretch. Another big breath here. And exhale, walk your hands back to the center, reaching forward. Taking it to the other side when you're ready, walking your hands over to the right and sending your hips back into the left. Maybe you liked that motion of going side to side and you continue to kind of move fluidly. Maybe you just hold wherever you are. But when you feel ready, making your way back to the center and then pushing through your hands, lifting back up into a tabletop. Noticing the sensations in your hips, giving yourself an opportunity here to kind of rock side to side. Notice how it feels. Let your breath fill your lungs. Awesome. And when you feel ready, you can use your hands to kind of help you onto your knees. And then from here, it might feel good to kind of make a second layer with your mat, or maybe put something under your knees at home if it's not comfortable. If it is, whenever you're ready, just take your left leg and send it out long to the side. Maybe you place your hand on the outside of your left thigh for a little bit of support. And on the inhale, reach your right arm up. And on the exhale, fold it over your body towards the left. Once again, it might feel really good to just hold this static, but you are always welcome to kind of explore. I like to kind of make some big circles with my arm and see how that changes the stretch on my right side. Maybe you try that a little bit and you're not feeling it, so you just stay where you are. No matter what, just give yourself another inhale. Really feel that side body opening up. And on the exhale, returning towards center. Taking it to the other side now, letting your right leg go long out to the side. Maybe your right hand for support. And on the inhale, sending your left arm up, and exhale over to the right side of the studio or your house. Again, giving yourself that option to explore, kind of this cautious exploration, what feels good, letting your intuition lead you. And then when you feel ready, slowly making your way back to a tabletop position. So here we're going to warm up the glutes a little bit more. So from here, take your left knee, lift it up a little bit out to the side laterally. It might come off just 3 inches off the mat. It might come off 6. It could even be parallel to the mat. But wherever you are, you should feel a nice squeeze in that left glute. And then lowering it back down. And we're going to take about 10 more of these, lifting the left knee out to the side, squeezing at the top, and then lowering back down. You can move with your breath here too, maybe on the inhale, sending your knee up, and on the exhale, lowering it down. Maybe you like to take it a little slower, and you could bring it up and then kind of pulse at the top. Just letting your intuition lead you, see what feels good on your body. If you kind of just want to count down the 7 that you have left and get it over with, maybe you're kind of thriving in this a little bit and it feels really good. Either way, give yourself a couple more breaths here, exploring the left glute and how this feels. I always feel a little bit on my right glute too, which is interesting. One last one here, wherever you are, before taking it to the other side, whenever you feel ready. This is really nice because it's warming up the glutes as well as opening up the hip flexors a little bit. So you might just be lifting it a couple inches out to the side, maybe a whole foot. Maybe it's kind of like parallel to the floor. Wherever you are though, just exploring, giving yourself a couple pulses here. And then when you feel ready, just letting yourself rest back in child's pose just for a second or two. Big breath. Let the freshly oxygenated blood kind of run through those muscles and clear out any of that lactic acid. Even the warm-up can be hard. And when you feel ready, pushing back to a tabletop and finding somewhere in between those arches and curls. Somewhere right in the middle where, as if I was balancing a glass of water on your low back, it wouldn't fall off. You should require a little bit of ab activation here, just to feel your low spine nice and straight. And then curl the toes behind you. Find a bear pose just by lifting your knees up off the mat just by an inch or two. Great way to activate the core while finding that neutral spine. So important in many, many postures in yoga. Inhale, and on the exhale, let the knees tap down gently. Catch your breath here. See how your wrists feel. Maybe allow yourself to stamp them out a little bit. Anytime, feel free to come back to your tabletop or your child's pose. But if you feel ready, maybe you inhale, press into the mat, and find that bear pose again. And then exhale, send your hips up and back for a downward dog. Here, all 10 fingers pressed into the mat, palming the floor away like a basketball. Really active engagement through the hands. Imagine your shoulders kind of wrapping out and away from your neck, giving yourself space, letting your head hang heavy. Shake it yes, shake it no. A bending of the knees can be really helpful to allow your spine to stay straight and your hips stay up and back. For some people, your heels might touch all the way down to the mat. Others, they're maybe a couple inches off the mat. Allow yourself to press forward into a plank here, checking your alignment, seeing that your shoulders are stacked over your wrists, your glutes are on fire, your ab is engaged, and then push back to your downward dog. That's the alignment you're looking for, is just that kind of being able to flow back and forth. Allow your knees to bend. See what feels right for you. Maybe bending one knee at a time. And then slowly walk your feet forward to meet your hands. And just let yourself hang here in a nice forward fold for a second. Let your head be heavy. And then on the inhale, you can rise to stand all the way up, hands reaching towards the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. You can fold, hinge from the hips. And from here, your toes can touch, or they can be maybe a couple inches apart. Whatever feels right for you. Keeping your knees stacked over your ankles, allow your hips to sink down a little bit for a chair pose. Imagining there's a chair somewhere behind you you're going to sink down in and sit. Your hands might go long out in front of you. And allowing enough space in between your knees for your left forearm to come to the inside of your left thigh. And let your right hand hang in front of you. On an inhale, swing your right arm up into the right side of the studio or at home. And on the exhale, you can let it come back down towards the center. Inhale, swoop the arm up like you're painting the sky. And on the exhale, come back to center. We'll do 3 more of these, moving with your breath, a little Utkatasana chair pose with a twist here, twisting from the mid-back. And last one, when you're up at the top, holding for a moment, maybe circling out that wrist. And then on the exhale, return towards center, chair pose. You can straighten the legs, take a nice forward fold, let it all go. And when you're ready, taking it to the other side, finding a chair pose, letting your hips sink down. Little space in between the knees for your right forearm to find that right inner thigh. And then letting your left arm do its thing, moving with your breath. You might feel some subtle differences on each side. So cool, I love noticing that. Just these differences in our bodies. Maybe holding it static at the top feels really good, shaking out the wrist. Maybe you're ready to just let it all go and take a nice forward fold. Maybe bending one knee at a time here. Shaking the head yes, shaking it no. Awesome. And on the inhale, drive through the feet, stand all the way up, reaching towards the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center, fold. Inhale, take a halfway lift, hands to your shins, straight back. And then on the exhale, plant your hands down, feet step back. You can tap the knees down, put the shoelace sides of the feet into the ground. From your knees to the crown of your head should be one long line. And on the exhale, let yourself come all the way down to the mat, keeping your elbows into your sides, your shoulders down. With your hands just where they are, maybe a little bit forward, right near your shoulders. Really press the shoelace sides of the feet down into the mat. Your kneecaps lift, your glutes are squeezed, and begin to, maybe even with the fingers tented, use your low back and upper back muscles to lift you up just a little bit. Take a big inhale. This is baby Cobra. Make sure you're looking long, your neck is straight. You don't want to be looking too out ahead of you, maybe just a couple inches in front of you. And then on the exhale, press through your hands, find your tabletop position. Curl your toes, tuck them under, and find your downward facing dog. Vinyasa option 1. And then when you're ready, take an inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees. You can walk or even hop forward so your hands meet your feet. And on the inhale, rise all the way up to stand, reaching towards the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins. And on the exhale, hands plant, step feet back. You might tap the knees down like we did before and lower down, or you might keep the knees up and lower all the way down to the mat. From here, shoelace sides of the feet engage into the ground. You can either find the baby cobra again on an inhale, or you might drive through the palms, squeezing the glutes, and the hips might lift up a little bit. The chest might open. You might find an up dog. Wherever you are, big inhale. And on the exhale, maybe pushing through tabletop, maybe just going right up into your downward facing dog. Awesome. Vinyasa option 2. So giving yourself some breath here, maybe walking the dog a little bit, bending one knee at a time. Maybe it feels good to just come into a little child's pose, taking a break. Wherever you are though, just letting yourself reset. We are nice and warmed up. We are ready to flow. This is where the fun really comes in. As always, let your intuition guide you. Try on the postures that I suggest. If they don't feel good, let yourself lead your practice. What I like to do for my down dog is on an inhale, I lift my right leg up towards the sky. And on the exhale, curl your knee into your chest, kind of hovering in this planky position. And on the inhale, send that right knee back up towards the sky. Exhale, find this crunch again with your right knee into your chest. And this time, step your right foot towards your right thumb. Finding a little bit of a low lunge here. Take a moment, check out your alignment. See that your feet are hip distance apart. Protect your knees. Make sure it's stacked over your ankle. Check in with all 4 corners of your front foot. And then place your right hand to the outside of your right knee. Really kind of press into it to activate that left glute. And then send your left arm forward for your thunderbolt position. Should really be starting to build some heat here in the body. Maybe a little bit of shaking in that right leg. Big breath in. And then on the exhale, let your left hand come down to the mat, to the inside of your right foot. Maybe a block if you're at home, or a little something to kind of keep you up. If you are on the ground, if your left hand is on the ground, take your right hand and begin to lift it up towards the sky for a little bit of a runner's lunge twist. And there are a couple options here. Maybe reaching your right hand all the way up to the sky doesn't feel so good. Maybe you just keep your right hand on your hip. Allow you to twist from the mid-back a little bit more. See if you can play around with not putting too much weight into that left hand. Even hovering it a little bit and keeping that engagement in the glutes and the abs. Wherever you are, one big in-breath. And on the out-breath, drop the left heel down and begin to lift all the way up for Warrior 2 position. So with here, the foot alignment is going to change a little bit, making sure that from the back of your front foot to the arch of your back foot is one line. Your right knee is stacked over your right ankle. The outside of your left foot is really grounding into the mat. Your arms are long. You might shrug your shoulders up just so that you can let it go. Pelvis is tucked under, not too arched out, not too curled. This is Warrior 2. Just letting your feet kind of spread the mat apart, letting your arms go long. On the inhale, flip your front palm and begin to reach it up towards the sky, while at the same time letting your left hand snake down the back of your left thigh for a reverse warrior. Should feel really good on that right side. And on the exhale, tip this whole thing forward. Bring your right forearm to the inside of your right thigh, allowing your left arm to reach up towards the sky for a side angle. So many people's side angles look different. Sometimes people are really flexible and they're like way down here. Sometimes people are more like they've got that twist and they're really getting a bind going. Wherever you are, just making sure you have the alignment and that you're engaged. And that's where you want to be. And then now allow yourself to play with, on the inhale, finding your reverse warrior, and on the exhale, finding a side angle. Kind of moving back and forth with your breath here. Like I said in the beginning, once you have your breath, you have your yoga. So don't worry so much about what it looks like. As long as you're aligned so that you're protecting your joints and you're safe, just allow yourself to play and explore. And then next time you're in the side angle, just stay exactly where you are, except place your right hand to the right shin, straighten the right leg, and then kind of, you can let your gaze go towards the ceiling if you'd like, maybe directly in front of you, maybe to the ground. And this is triangle. And then to play with, see how engaged you might be here. You might even begin to raise your right hand up and kind of see how that changes the amount of ab work you need. Wherever you are, one big breath. And then on the exhale, find your warrior two position. You can circle your hands down to frame your right foot, maybe coming onto the ball of the back foot, and you step your right foot back. And you might find a chaturanga or vinyasa here. On the exhale, lower yourself down. You might even keep the right leg lifted through this. On the inhale, heart bursts open for a baby cobra or an up dog. And on the exhale, curl your toes, find your down dog. Taking a moment here, seeing how you feel, how that might have opened you up on one side. And on the inhale, send your left leg back behind you. Exhale, curl your left knee into your chest. Inhale, send your left leg back. Exhale, left knee to chest, step your left foot towards your left thumb. We are finding a thunderbolt position on this left side, placing the outside of your left hand to your left thigh, pressing into it to activate that glute as you let your right hand reach up towards the sky. Once again here, feet hip distance apart, finding that shaky on that left leg, taking a big breath in, and on the exhale, dropping the right hand to the inside of the left foot, allowing the left arm to reach up towards the sky, or keeping your left hand to your hip as you twist from the mid-back. And then once again, seeing what feels right for you on that right hand, maybe just tenting it a little bit. If you have a block, that might feel really good at home. Wherever you are, big in-breath. And on the out-breath, dropping the right heel into the mat, lifting everything up for your warrior two position. Taking a moment here, maybe stepping that left leg in a little bit to find that line between your front heel and the arch of your back foot. Grounding down the outside of your right foot into your mat, kind of stretching the mat apart. You might shrug your shoulders or roll them out a little bit. And then on the inhale, flip your left palm, reverse your warrior, right hand kind of snaking down your right thigh. On the exhale, tipping forward and finding that side angle, allowing the left forearm to come to the inside of the thigh as the right arm reaches up towards the sky. And then just flowing, letting your breath lead you between these two postures, seeing what feels right. You might find that each time you get into a side angle or a reverse warrior, you're going a little bit deeper each time, or you're just getting a little bit stronger, a little bit more comfortable with it. Beautiful. And that next exhale, when you're in the side angle, just finding your triangle by just extending that left leg long, placing the left hand on the left shin, letting your right arm reach up towards the sky, maybe extend all 5 fingers apart, really letting yourself feel the polarity of the stretch here, the distance between your left toe and your right fingers. You might even float your left arm a little bit, show off your ab skills. And then when you're ready, bringing it all the way back up, finding your warrior two, kind of letting it go, and then swooping everything forward, framing your left foot, moving to the back of your right foot. You might keep your left leg lifted through the whole chaturanga. Exhale lowers you down to the mat. Inhale, either baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Awesome. Just taking a couple breaths here. Again, downward dog might be the resetting posture you're looking for. Maybe a little bit of a child's pose is better for you here. Just giving yourself 2 breaths. And then whenever you're ready, we'll all meet in down dog. And you can exhale, bend the knees, either walk or float forward to the top of your mat. Let your hips sink down for a chair pose here. Once again, like we found in the beginning, let your right forearm come to the inside of your right thigh, and let your left hand swoop up towards the sky on the inhale. Just like we did before, but just holding it here, static. One more breath. Begin to place all your weight in your right leg. Center, stabilize everything. Place your hands to the top, a little bit above your right knee. Begin to pick up your left foot and send it back behind you with the left foot flexed for a little bit of a warrior 3 variation here. If you'd like to take the full warrior 3 and reach your hands out long in front of you, you can. But I like the variation because you're able to kind of stay with that activated right glute a little bit more. If you fall out or you come out, that's what yoga is all about. You have more than enough time to come back into it. Or just say, F this posture, I'm done. It's your practice. Feeling a little bit of a squeeze, playing with what feels cool here. Little warrior 3. And then slow and with control, let that left leg tap down behind you. Now we're in a high lunge. Check your feet, make sure they're properly distanced apart. Right knee stacked over right ankle. Your hands can come to your heart center or maybe just on your hips. And on the exhale, bend your knees, just tap your left knee down. Inhale, push through your right foot, squeeze at the top. And we'll take maybe 10 more like this, moving with your breath, seeing what feels good for you. These lunges are really nice, but there are so many alternatives to lunges if you want to switch them up, because they're really important for longevity, but they can get boring, right? So you can either continue to move like this, but I'll show you some options for maybe the next side we get to. So there's regular lunges. You could do a little bit of a power lunge where at the top you kind of pull your knee into your chest. I like these too. You can even add a little bit of a hop at the top when you pull it into your chest. Love that. Or you might even, when you step back with your left foot, instead of sending it kind of hip distance beyond you, you might cross your mat and send it to the other side and then tap down. And that's a curtsy lunge. Those are really cool too. Wherever you are, 2 more. Meet you in that high lunge position. feet hip distance apart. And you can drop that left knee down, or left heel down, opening up to the left side of the room now. Stacking knees over, I'm like, what joint? Knees over ankles as you sink your hips down a little bit for a goddess pose. Toes out, heels in, knees stacked over ankles. Take a moment, check out your pelvis, your low back. Make sure you're not too arched, not too curled. Abs are engaged, chest is lifted. Imagine I'm pulling out a string from the crown of your head. Just letting that heat build in this posture. Your hands might come in front of your heart. Maybe they're just resting on the sides of your body. You might find a little bit of a mudra wherever you are. We'll take 2 more breaths. And then when you're ready, we're going to sit up for Ardha Chandrasana, or half moon pose, on your left leg. So facing the back of the studio. If you have a block at home, that would be cool. Letting your left foot face exactly towards the back of the studio. Begin to hinge forward, sending your right arm and right leg up towards the sky. If you have a block, you might put it 6 to 9 inches in front of your left foot for support. Otherwise, you might just be floating like me. Your right limbs are up in the air. Your left glutes are squeezing. They're shaking. Whatever degree you're in, if you're falling out, that's good. You're trying, you're pushing your boundaries. One more breath wherever you are. And then slowly letting that right foot land. Find your warrior 2 facing the front of the room. And then circle your hands down. Frame your right foot. Send that right foot back. Keep a 3-legged dog going with that right leg up in the air. Maybe bend your right knee and allow your right hip to open a little bit. Just giving yourself an opportunity here. See how that feels. Inhale. And on the exhale, shift forward, lowering down to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And on the exhale, press through either tabletop or just meet in down dog. So awesome. Sometimes the slower you take it, the harder it is. Awesome. And then inhale, bend your knees. Walk or float to the top of your mat. Find a chair pose. Taking it to the other side now, letting your left forearm to come to the inside of your left thigh and swooping up to the right. Taking a moment here. And then center, stabilize everything. Begin to place your hands on top of your left thigh as you begin to send your right leg long out behind you for a little bit of a warrior 3 variation here. Opportunity to work on balance, work on glute strength, and just see how interesting it is from this perspective. Allow these positions to give you perspective. Moving through these different planes. And then exhale, slowly drop that right foot back down. This time, whatever lunges you liked, give them a shot. Go for those. We'll just do 10. Wherever you are, you might just be doing the classic hip distance apart. You might have tried on that curtsy lunge, or you kind of cross back behind you. Might be feeling really kind of oomph today, and add a little bit of a kick. Maybe even a pop at the top. Wherever you are, we'll do 3 or 4 more. And then when you're ready, which you might have been from the very beginning, You can drop your right heel down, opening up to the right side of the room now. Toes out, heels in. Just place your hands on your hips and using your abs, just let yourself hinge forward about halfway down. Catch the ground or a block in front of you, and then let yourself just totally like clothes on a hanger, just hinge out of your hip sockets, just relax here. Such a wonderful posture, wide-legged forward fold. You can let your head be heavy, your neck be heavy. It might feel good to kind of like be rocking from side to side, maybe walking your hands from one foot to another, or maybe kind of in between your legs and behind you. Sometimes just holding it is what your body is calling for. And that's always the practice of just seeing what your body is calling for and then honoring that. We'll do 3 more breaths here. Awesome. And with just as much control and time as it took you to get in here, place your hands on your hips, use your abs, lift yourself up all the way to standing. And then we're going to find half moon pose facing the back of the room, but on the right leg this time. So letting your right foot be parallel with the edges of the mat, facing the back of the room. Begin to place your weight into your right foot as you lift your left hand and leg up towards the sky. Left foot flexed, and you can reach your right hand down in front of you by a couple inches. Imagine I'm, while giving you support and not totally blocking you out of your posture, pulling your left hip back a little bit and a little bit more open. Squeezing that right glute. Allowing this posture to open the side of your body, your left shoulder. One big breath in. And on the exhale, letting that left leg drop down to the mat, finding a warrior 2 facing the front of the room, and then circling your hands to frame your left foot, finding a 3-legged dog with your left leg still lifted. Bend the knee here if it feels good. See how that feels to open your hip. Take an inhale, center everything, and then exhale lowers you down to the mat. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And then on the exhale, press back, downward dog. Awesome. Take a big breath here. Inhale. Fill your lungs. On the exhale, shift forward into a plank. Here, shoulders stacked over wrists. Anytime you need to tap your knees down, go for it. We'll be here for about 30 seconds. Imagine my hand in between your shoulder blades and you're pushing it away. Tuck your pelvis under, squeeze your glutes. Should be shaky here. 15 more seconds. You might tap the knees down, you might not. Can you find your breath? Can you hear it? Now we're going to just make our way to our elbows, keeping the plank. Again, optionally tapping your knees down anytime you need to. See if you can follow 5 breaths here. Squeeze your glutes. 2 more breaths. And then let it go, letting your hips drop down. Shoelace sides of the feet come into the mat. Big breath in. Nice. can drop all the way down to the mat now. Make a pillow for your forehead with your left forearm. Reach back with your right arm and grab your right heel or the outside of your right foot, whatever feels good for you to kind of grab back there. Squeeze your thighs together to protect your knees, and let yourself just take a quad stretch here. Catching your breath. If you can't reach your foot, maybe using a towel or a yoga strap to be able to get that bind of the right foot. Letting your breaths get a little deeper, a little longer. One more breath here. Really let it be long and rejuvenating. And if you like where you are, feel no pressure to move faster than you would like to, but if you are ready, you might switch and take it to the other side, making a pillow with your right forearm and reaching back with your left hand. Again, just squeezing the thighs together to protect your knees. One more breath. Awesome. Letting your left leg go long. Opportunity here to play with some baby cobra. So, like we had done through the vinyasas and through the beginning of the class, allow the shoelace sides of your feet to press into the mat strongly. Your kneecaps might lift off. Your glutes are squeezing. Your shoulders are wrapped down and away from your ears. Your elbows are into your sides. Your hands are placed right underneath the shoulders. You can press into the hands just a little bit, but use your back muscles to lift you up. Gaze down at your mat. You don't want to be looking too far ahead of you. And just squeezing here. Lifting to your degree of comfort. A little bit of a baby cobra. You might even enjoy lifting your hands and sending them back out long. At this point, you might even bend the knees and even possibly grab the outsides of the feet, kind of kicking into your hands for a little bit of a locust. So many options here, also subtly different on each day. So let yourself explore. There's no right, there's no wrong. Just 2 more breaths wherever you are. Fill your lungs, feel your belly expand into the earth. And then on the exhale, let everything go. When you feel ready, push through your hands, find your tabletop once again. And letting those cat and cow and hip circles from the beginning come back now. Let yourself find some organic fluid motions here. After all of that practice, things should feel pretty evened out, but hey, maybe there was a little kink somewhere you didn't get out. So let yourself kind of play. Everything is warmed up. We built that fire in the body. We built that flexibility. So honor that. Give yourself the space to kind of let it all sink in. And then once again, letting your hips rest over your heels. Find a bit of a child's pose here. Letting your forehead rest down. Any adjustments that feel good, like a blanket or a bolster, underneath the belly, between the thighs and the belly. underneath your seat or underneath your forehead. And again, just reconnecting with your breath. Letting the postures just add to the meditational practice of focusing your breath. And take 3 more breaths here. And when you feel ready, pressing up through your tabletop, and however you get there, making your way onto your seat. Letting your legs go long out in front of you. We're going to take a forward fold. So on the inhale, let your spine get nice and long. And on the exhale, begin to hinge forward to your degree of comfort. Maybe a yoga strap behind the toes would feel good. I just like to have something to hold on to, so gravity is pulling me a little bit more towards where I want to go. So for me, that's my shins or my ankles or even my toes. Let your neck get heavy. And sometimes coming in and out of the posture is a really good way to remind the nervous system that it's safe. Big breaths are another good way to do that. Because if you force yourself into it too quickly, the muscles and tendons can kind of tighten up out of trying to protect you. So give yourself that time, the space to remind the body that it's safe. And then when you find somewhere just so nice to stay in, then honor that. And give yourself a couple breaths here. Maybe allowing the knees to bend a little bit is really nice. This is one of my favorite postures just because you can let your neck hang heavy. Any of those like forward folds where you can really just let your neck go. Like just thinking of how many hours we spend looking at phones and computers and tablets. This is just so nice for the back of the neck. Two more big breaths here, nice and long and slow. If you're comfortable where you are, no rush at all. But whenever you're ready, you can just let yourself come onto your back all the way down onto your mat. We're going to find a little bit of a figure 4 here. So bend your left knee, place your left foot on the earth, and allow your right knee to bend and your right ankle to cross over your left thigh. Keeping your right foot flexed to protect your right knee. This might feel really good where you are. Otherwise, you might choose to begin to lift the left leg off the mat a little bit. Maybe even interlacing your hands behind the left thigh. This should feel really good for your right hip flexors, your right glute. And there's a lot of variations here as usual. So you might like to extend your left leg long up towards the sky. You might even reach all the way through your legs to your left shin. But wherever you are, Just letting yourself relax, catch your breath. Maybe your eyes even float shut. And give yourself 5 rounds of breath here. Maybe even counting 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, then 3, then 4. And just noticing where your mind goes. If you feel ready, you can begin to slowly transition to the other side, keeping the right foot planted with the right knee bent. You might cross the left ankle over the right thigh. And then playing with any variation, maybe lifting that right leg off the ground, maybe even extending it long, possibly binding your hands behind your right thigh or your right shin. Whatever feels good for you. And again, differences on each side. So if you're not going as deeper, as fast, no worries at all. It's different every day for each person. Feeling your breath coming in and out of your body. Two more breaths wherever you are. And now you can take your time to come out of the posture. Let your left leg go long on your mat and pull your right knee into your chest just for a little bit of a wind removing pose here. Keep the right knee pulling into the chest, but avoid the rib cage if you can. Pull it kind of out and away from the rib cage while bringing it into your chest, giving it a squeeze. Big breath in. On the exhale, taking it to the other side, letting your left leg come into your chest. Right leg is long. Avoiding the rib cage as you pull your left knee into your chest, giving it a hug. Some lovin' for all the work it's done. Big breath in. And then letting your left leg go long. Bend both knees. Place the soles of the feet together. And then maybe with the help of the hands on the thighs, just slowly letting the knees open up like a book. Moving really slow here. Don't rush to get too deep into it too quickly. Your hands might stay on your thighs for a little bit of support. Anybody at home that might have a block or a blanket to put underneath the knees might feel really good if you don't like that weight of just like gravity, having them kind of hang out. Your arms might just go long to the side. Maybe you place one hand on your belly for kind of a tactile reminder of your breath. Maybe your eyes are shut. I like to find a little bit of a butterfly pump here, just very subtle, kind of side to side and bouncing with the knees. I also like squeezing like one glute and then kind of releasing it. Wherever you are, a couple more rounds of breath here. Maybe your eyes are still shut. And then when you feel ready, with the help of your hands, bringing your knees back in towards center and letting your arms go out long to the side. Whenever you feel ready, if you feel ready, just let your knees drop to the left. You might look over your right shoulder. A little bit of a reclined twist here. Might feel really good exactly where you are. I like to extend my top leg long and even like cross it over and make a little bind with my legs. Just try to keep both of your shoulders grounded wherever you are. There's really no right or wrong as long as it feels good for you and safe and productive. Big breath here. And if you feel ready, slowly taking it to the other side, making your way towards center and then letting your knees drop to the right, looking over your left shoulder, playing with any variation of the top leg or a bind. Just giving yourself a breath or two here, really fill your lungs. Maybe it's the deepest breath you've taken today. And let it go. Slowly making your way back towards center. Again, extend your legs out long, heels towards the sky. Just one last time. Maybe hands behind the thighs, little hamstring stretch. Any other little rocking motions that feel good to you, some shaking, before finally just letting everything go long, finding your Shavasana. Toes just splay out, hands can go alongside the body, palms facing up. Your eyes can shut. And just really honoring one of these most important postures of your practice. Letting all the work you've done have space in the body. And as you lay in Shavasana, consider these words by Jeff Foster. What would happen if you removed the word anxious and just paid attention to the flickering sensations in the belly? What would happen if you took away the concept lonely and simply became fascinated with this heavy feeling in the heart area? What would happen if you deleted the image sick or broken or bad and just got curious about the tightness in the throat and the pressure in the head, the ache in the shoulders? What would happen if you stopped looking for solutions and checked to see if there was actually a problem here? Come out of the exhausting storyline, friend. It's not true. It never was true. Commit sacred awareness to a single living moment. Come closer to yourself now. bring warmth to the tender places inside. Infuse sensation with the light of your attention. It's never as bad as you think. Bringing a little bit of life back to the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes. You might just roll onto one side in a fetal position, and you might like to stay here for a little bit longer, but if you'd like to close the practice with us, just making your way into your seat. Your eyes might stay shut. Might rub your palms together a little bit. And bringing your palms into your heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, for coming into the studio, for supporting us, for being here. Very grateful. Happy Monday. Thank you all so much. Namaste.